Hey everyone, welcome to Insurgency Broadcast. My name is Chad Booksam. Thank you so much for tuning in. I want to give you guys a full breakdown of Vladimir Putin's interview with Tucker Carlson. And regardless how you feel about Vladimir Putin, first of all, he's an historic figure. This guy is a brilliant guy. He knows the history of his country, like some of the great leaders in the past. And I'm talking about past, I mean like hundreds and hundreds of years ago. There's not figures and leaders like him now in the modern world whatsoever. And seeing him break down and his love for his country and the area is really clear when he speaks. Now, compare that with Biden. He doesn't even remember where the bathroom is, let alone can sit there for 2 hours discussing American history. And they obviously don't want to discuss American history. Our leaders are trying to change our Constitution. They're trying to transform our country, right? Obama said this. And we know that they have a disdain for our history. The leader of Russia, obviously, he loves his country. He loves the people there. And that's why he's so knowledgeable about it and passionate about it. Now, a few things, obviously, Vladimir Putin pointed out something that's clear, that no matter who the president is, it doesn't matter. The CIA controls all of our foreign policy. We've known this for some time. That's why, these leaders can't get agreements with certain presidents or any president. Because at the end of the day, it's the deep state that controls our foreign policy. Vladimir Putin didn't have to say this. This is an obvious fact. He pointed out how the CIA is responsible for blowing up Nord Stream, an obvious fact. And Biden signs off, obviously, on whatever the CIA wants to do. If you try to put any kind of pushback, if there's any pushback from any sitting president, you're going to end up like Trump. 100 felony counts against him, trying to remove him from ballots, and God knows what else is next. And understanding history is so important if you are going to have any effective diplomacy. And the CIA, they count on the American people to have the memory of a goldfish. They don't want the American people to have any knowledge of our history. And that's why they're blocking. They're not even, you think they're showing the interview? Showing what Putin is saying. They don't want people knowing what Vladimir Putin is stating. That all these agreements occurred. This huge war could have been prevented. That there was a coup in 2014 by the CIA, removing the duly elected president. It was a bloody coup, not the protesting around the Congress to disrupt the little proceeding that they were having. An actual violent coup. Missiles were launched in Donbass. People were attacked and killed. And during this coup is what caused, before Vladimir Putin even stated, the current state that we're in now. So we have a deep state, a CIA, who is continuously putting us in danger through their imperialistic policies to achieve globalism, while at the same time doing everything they can to control the media and the narrative to prevent the American people from knowing anything about history or anything about geopolitical situations that go back decades and decades and decades. And, Vladimir Putin was very eloquent in explaining how we got to this stage, right? And, he's funny too. He tried Tucker Carlson a couple times, which I thought was pretty hilarious, when he was saying about, yeah, I knew you tried to sign up for the CIA. Thank God you didn't sign up for the CIA back in the day. But the CIA is a serious organization, with the implication that Tucker's not a serious person. But Tucker Carlson, great interview. Obviously, he let Vladimir Putin speak for a very long time about ideas and about the current situation we're in now without just cutting him off. And this is what you need. It wasn't Tucker Carlson's position to debate Vladimir Putin. That's not why he was interviewing him. We need the thoughts of leaders, especially if we're going to go to war with these people. And now, what did Vladimir Putin say? Not we, the deep state wants to go to war with these people. What did Vladimir Putin say? That there are U.S. mercenaries right now on the ground. They're the second largest mercenary group. The first is Poland. So we have, American boots on the ground, regardless. And it is amazing that, we have a leftist party and a population here who hate Nazis so much, right? They hate Nazis so much, but they don't even know what Nazism is, because they support real Nazis in Ukraine. Have you seen like the Azov, but I forgot how you say the name, battalion? Their flag is just almost exactly similar to the swastika. Okay, they are obviously empowered by the United States. And another thing that was pointed out is that our CIA, our deep state, they empower terrorist organizations. They empower the terrorist organizations in the Caucasus in Russia to try to overthrow Vladimir Putin, always backing terrorist organizations, just like we did in Afghanistan. We worked with Osama bin Laden and his group, just like we did in Syria and Iraq, creating ISIS, and now like we're doing here on the border with the cartels. We have the number one enemy within our borders. The number one enemy is within our borders, and our intel services are controlling every aspect of our country and where it's going. This is terrifying. This was never meant to be. You know, JFK, Eisenhower, former presidents discussed the threat of the deep state, that this is going to happen, that they are going to fully take over, and they have. And they have so much on everybody. They're holding our leaders, our politicians for hostage as well. They have so much on everybody that they can control anybody who comes into the White House, unless you're somebody like Trump. And if anybody thinks that, you know, oh no, Trump is just a part of it, no, because the end of the day, they did everything they can, and they're still doing everything they can to prevent him, because he gets in the way a little bit of the foreign policy by our deep state. And this is obvious. You know, we didn't have any wars. We didn't have any no expansions from Russia, going into any other country. There was diplomacy, and with the CIA. And this is the thing, what I mean with Trump. Trump is a diplomatic person. He's pragmatic. He's a realist. He talks to anybody, and he's always willing to make a deal. The CIA, no matter who the president is, okay, they already have their agenda set in stone, and that is a globalist empire built on the blood of American soldiers and millions of innocent civilians, like we're doing across in the Middle East right now. Yeah, we're launching missiles all over the place, but they're meaningless missiles, but people are getting killed, and probably innocent people are getting killed. So we have to acknowledge the evil that is within our country, because already this evil is turning on their own citizens. It's turning on us. Now, a few other things that Vladimir Putin discussed. So, a lot of the agreements that were made with former presidents obviously didn't go through. Tucker's asking, why don't you call Biden? And he's saying, what am I going to do, beg him not to send any more weapons? Obviously, the leadership in our country and in the collective West know what they need to do to bring Russia to the table, and that is obviously to stop funding Ukraine, to stop providing all of the weapons. I mean, think about it. It is us that is killing Russians and Ukrainians. We are the ones responsible for it. We are doing it. And on that face, we have our own foreign policy and our own leaders saying that, oh, Iran, they're the ones supplying weapons and missiles and money to Hamas and Hezbollah, right? So that's why we should attack, which is, who are attacking Israel. And this is why we should attack Iran, right? So we act on that, and we do that. And Russia is dealing with this on an epic scale, where they're getting killed by our own arms, by our own funds, by our own leaders, and by our own foreign policy. And it's amazing to see. So what's next, right? What is next? This will not deter the CIA. This information will not deter them. This will not deter the military-industrial complex from achieving their goals. They are going to double and triple, quadruple down on arming Ukraine and getting us involved in this war. And we have too many stupid people in this country who are going along with it because they're not, whatever, they refuse to be informed, in my opinion, right? And they are locked in to these communist ideals of equality and equity, and that we are no longer, how our framers framed this country, we're no longer a patriotic nation, that we have to enter this global institution of the World Health Organization, the United Nations, and just into the grinder. So we have a huge chunk of this population who's so easily manipulated by our intel services and the CIA to put us right into the grinder. And they don't realize the dangers that they're in. They don't realize how every feeling and every policy domestically they have contradicts what we do, right? Oh, you're against Nazis, but you're supporting Nazis. Oh, you're against war. Are you against war? We're the ones responsible for all the wars that are occurring, killing and displacing millions of people. So what does that say about our own population? And that's why the CIA, that's why the deep state can continue doing what they do, because they have a complicit population, at least half. And this is why the election was stolen in 2020. Okay? So they can go on this World War III agenda with Russia. And if Trump was there, I do not see this occurring as it did whatsoever. So, and I think I'm going to leave it there with Vladimir Putin and Tucker Carlson. But basically, the whole idea of the interview, the whole thing, was explaining Russia's position historically, okay, of how Ukraine is one with Russia. I mean, basically, they are the same people. The Ukrainians aren't a different race. That the West is amplifying and supporting neo-Nazis in Ukraine, which is obvious. And that no matter who the president is, it's not going to change anything because the deep state runs our foreign policy, and that the world is changing. That, the whole, something very important is what he was discussing with China. How China is obviously surpassing us economically, how the whole world is changing regardless how we feel, basically implying the United States is collapsing from within. And we do see that with our culture, with our politics, with our economy. And when you have this evil society that is running our country, they are going to just feed us to the wolves. And we know they're gathering illegal immigrants to prepare for a war with Russia directly so they can be cannon fodder. And we need to address this more than anything. These institutions, these services, they need to be held accountable by the American people. They have not been held accountable. And we have a complicit media, our leaders, the people who are funding it, the corporations, listen to whatever the CIA wants them to do. We all know that Twitter and all these other social media platforms had the FBI and former CIA, FBI agents controlling the information there. So we are in a dictatorship. Okay, look, Vladimir Putin and what's happening there, obviously, domestically. Look, I'm not really comparing the two. What I'm saying is that the United States has an evil source that is leading us, okay, over the cliff. And look, Vladimir Putin and his country and the way they handle things, obviously, it's not perfect, whatsoever. But at the end of the day, we have to acknowledge that our own institutions are beyond that evil, in my own opinion. What they're doing to our citizens, what they're doing to our border, what they're doing through destroying the nuclear family, what they're doing with removing God from everything, destroying our Constitution, trying to turn girls into boys. This is beyond evil, what we're facing, compared to whatever we see as, in regards to Vladimir Putin. Yeah, is he a killer? Yeah, he's a killer, but so are we. And so is a lot of leaders throughout history, okay, that we, idolize, like Julius Caesar, Alexander the Great. They were killers beyond belief. And the number one thing that matters is not necessarily, us pointing the finger and saying he's a killer. We have to. What really matters is the direction of our country in terms of what are we going to do that's best for our own people. Oh, okay. Oh, Vladimir Putin's a bad guy. Kim Jong-un's a bad guy. Whatever the case, so let us sacrifice millions of American citizens and kill millions of people. We have our own issues domestically, and that we need to overcome. And that was one of the things that Vladimir Putin was stating, and I couldn't agree more. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it right there for now. I love you so much. I'll be back soon with another report. Okay? Take care. God bless.